everyone, and welcome to a very special online Grace Creative session. My name is Desiree and I'm the director of GRACE, which is Girls Rising Above Child Exploitation. We're a nonprofit that serves trafficked, exploited, and at-risk youth ages 12 through 21. And today we're going to be taking you through a session and we're going to be doing acrylic pouring coasters. So when you're all done, they're going to look something like this. If you've ever done a session with us at the center, you've probably done this with us before. This is one of our favorite things to do. It's very fun, but it's also very messy. So first and foremost, make sure you have clothes on, that you're okay if they get some paint on them, or if you have an apron or something to put over you. I've definitely dropped a lot of paint on myself doing this project before. So I'm just going to go over the materials that you need to do this project, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So off here to my left, I have four 4x4 ceramic tiles that have been primered. We found out that the paint sticks a lot better after you primer the tiles, so they've been primered. We've also got four 4x4 cork backings with a sticker, which will be used at the end of this project. I've got acrylic paint, and if you got a kit from us, you should have 6 different colors of acrylic paint. Any kind of acrylic paint will do. If you have some at home of different colors, that will work just fine. I've also got 8 3-ounce cups, 1 8-ounce cup. I've got some stir sticks. You'll need about 4 or 5 of these popsicle stir sticks. I've got some twine, which will be used at the end of the project to wrap our coasters. I've got some Floetrol here, which I've portioned out. You should have this kind of container, which has between 4 and 5 ounces of Floetrol. And then off here to my right, I've got a color mixing guide, which we'll be using to play around with some color mixing a little bit later. I've got some plastic gloves because we need to protect our hands from getting messy. I've got a plastic plate which will be used as a paint palette. I've got a paintbrush, napkins, and a trash bag. And this trash bag is basically going to be used as a tablecloth. I've got a tablecloth covering here, which will work just fine, but it's very important on this project to make sure that you have ample room and space to spread out, as well as get messy. So go ahead and get your area set up, and we will begin with the first step. So the first thing that I'm going to have you guys do today is to look over your color mixing guide and just kind of study it, and so that you know some different color combinations. I did a little bit of color mixing earlier on this paint palette and experimented a little bit myself and decided that I wanted to go with 4 colors. So I'm going to do kind of like a tan color right here. I'm going to do like a darker blue, a lighter purple, and then a white for my 4 colors. With acrylic pouring, it's important that you contrast your colors. So, you know, colors vary from light to medium to dark, and you're going to end up with some good contrast when you have different colors of different tones. And so yeah, when you're thinking about whatever colors you want on your coasters, just think about doing some sort of contrast. I always like to recommend using white or a very light color to contrast with some of your dark ones. So just spend a few minutes kind of studying your color chart and deciding what colors that you want to try to come to, and I'll come back with a little bit of guided color mixing. So we're going to go ahead and start with some color mixing. So I've got my paintbrush here and my plate, and the first color that I'm going to mix is going to be that tan color. And again, this is just experimental, so I'm going to take a little bit of this like dark brownish black color that I have. I'm going to mix in a little bit of white to lighten it up, and then a little bit of orange. You put all 3 of those together, kind of mix it up here and end up with just a lighter brown kind of sandy color. So I'll go ahead and show you guys up close so you can see. So that's the color that I came out with, and we're just doing this so that when we mix into our cups we know what we're going for. So that's the first one. And the next color that I'm going to go for is a lighter purple. So purple is red and blue. You want to go kind of heavy on the blue and light on the red to get purple. So I'm going to start with blue and then just a little dab of the red so it doesn't get overwhelming. I need a little bit more here of the red. Put that in there. Yeah, so I've got like this really deep, rich purple going on here, but I want a light purple, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix in some white. So I'm just gonna grab some white here, mix that in, and that's gonna brighten up. Just a little bit of white really brightens up that purple and lightens it up into more of like a pastel. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. Got that kind of nice purple color here. Alright, so now I'm going to be going for kind of a deeper blue, which I already have a deep blue here, but most of my colors are looking pretty pastel, so I'm going to put some blue on here, and then I'm just going to dab a little bit of white, and that white's just going to kind of lighten it up a little bit and give it more of that pastel look and tint that I'm going for. So I'm just going to mix that, maybe just a little dab more of white, because I still want that kind of deep sea blue, and show you guys that color here. And the next color that I'm going to incorporate in this one is just white, so there's not really any mixing, but just so that I can show you guys the contrast, I'll put a little bit of white on this plate here. So, and this is good to do so that you see what your colors are going to look like when they're all together. So those are the colors that I'm going for, and you can kind of see I've got a couple lights and then a couple darks. The purple and the blue are kind of medium, but I think the tones are varied enough that the combo is going to be really pretty when it's all mixed. So yeah, that's just a little mixing tutorial. Again, whatever colors you want to go with, just study this chart. There's a really good reference here at the bottom. I just downloaded this on Google, just looked up a color mixing guide, and it came out as a PDF. So there's a really good chart down here that says like 2 red, 1 blue magenta, 1 yellow, 1 red orange, 2 red plus 1 black equals maroon. So it kind of goes through and details all that out for you. So yeah, hopefully you get a little bit of practice and experience in that. And being a good artist, it's good to know a little bit about color mixing. So go ahead and spend a few minutes doing that, and we'll move on to the next step. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take 4 of your 3-ounce cups and lay them out in front of you, and we're going to spend a little bit more time doing the color mixing, but this time we're going to do it into the cups, and we're going to use more paint because we're going to be adding the Floetrol into these cups. We're going to mix our colors in the cup first, so that way we make sure that we get the tints and everything that we want before we add the Floetrol. So just go through, and you're going to want to use a decent amount of paint, at least so that the bottom's covered. You can see on the bottom of this cup there's a little line right here, so make sure that you have at least up to that line filled with paint. And yeah, I'll check in with you guys after I've got mine done. Alright, so hopefully you had some fun mixing your colors and you were able to get at least close to the same colors that you mixed originally. I'm just going to show you. I've I've got my tan in here. I've got my purple. The purple ended up a little bit darker, but I kind of like it. I've got my blue and my white, and the Floetrol will lighten up your colors as well, so that is completely fine. But just to go ahead and move right along to the next step, now you're going to actually just take your Floetrol and just divide it evenly between the 4 cups here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour. Just start out with a little bit, you can always add more. But just kind of fill it about 1/3 of the way full. These are 3-ounce cups, so if you get about 1 ounce in there, you should be good. If you have a little bit left over, that's fine, because you can add more later. And now you can take your popsicle sticks, and hopefully when I was doing my color mixing, I used my popsicle sticks to kind of transfer color back and forth. But for this part, you want to commit to 1 popsicle stick for color, so you're not mixing it. So you're just gonna, at this point in time, be mixing your Floetrol, and then you just start stirring your colors. And the Floetrol just makes the consistency of the acrylic paint pourable, because you can see when you mix the paint, it doesn't really pour very easily, especially this paint. It's a very heavy-bodied acrylic, so it's not pourable. But when you add in that Floetrol, you get this nice runny texture, which is what we want. So as you stir it, the consistency you're looking for is just kind of this pourable, warm honey texture. So you're just going to take a few minutes to stir that Floetrol into each cup with the paint there. And if you have a little bit of leftover Floetrol, you can go back through and add it. This is going to be crucial in the pouring phase, is just to have enough of this. You're going to need probably about 6 ounces of liquid to adequately cover all 4 of your coasters. So between the roughly 4 to 5 ounces of Floetrol and 1 to 2 ounces of paint, we should have enough here. So yeah, just take a few minutes just stirring the Floetrol into your acrylic paint, and we'll come back with the next step. Alright, so hopefully you were able to get your paints all mixed up. I was able to get mine, and they're looking good. You might have noticed the Floetrol lightened up your colors a little bit, which is totally fine. But what you're going to do now is just check to make sure that you have a nice pour by just pulling up your popsicle stick and letting it run off. And again, the texture should just be like warm honey, just a nice pourable texture for each one. So mine are looking pretty good. The next step is going to be to pull your other 4 3-ounce cups, and you're going to stack them in front of you, hopefully where you have some room, because this next spot's going to be a little messy, so you might want to clear your area. Bring your paint to the side. If you have extra paint, hopefully you can use it for another project later. So yeah, just kind of clear some space, because we're going to get messy here. But put those out in front of you, and now you're going to grab your graved coasters, and you're going to set them on top of these little cups here so that they're nice and even. Make sure that you center them well, so that they're not going to move and go anywhere, because they're going to be here for a little while. After we do this pouring, the coasters do take about 24 to 48 hours to dry, so you want to make sure that you do this in a space where you're not going to need it anytime soon. So yeah, just stack up your cups, or your tiles and your cups like so, so you have a nice spot here. Go ahead and put your gloves on. And grab your 10-ounce Dixie cup. And what you're going to do next is you're just going to stack your paint in your cup, because we're going to actually pour onto the tiles from this cup. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take your colors and you're just going to pour in alternating patterns. Some people will pour like one color all at once. I don't like to do that. I like to stack it. But yeah, you can do like a light and a dark. Just kind of stack the different colors in your cups, one on top of another. And of course, this is going to affect the way that the paint pours onto your coasters. So just take a few minutes and pour any kind of pattern until you have all of your 4 cups of paint in this one big cup. So after you've got your paint all poured into your cup, hopefully you were able to get enough to at least hit that bottom line here on the cup. So that's at about, I believe, like about 5 ounces to this line right here. So that should be enough to cover all of our coasters. And what a lot of people do after they've got their paint stacked in the cup, just to have a little bit of variance, is you can stick your popsicle cup in there and or your popsicle stick and do a swipe or two, just to kind of mix up the colors previous to pouring it. But now you get to do the fun part. So you should have a ton of paint. This thing's heavy. You're ready to pour. You got your coasters all set up on the table here. And for this next step, there's a lot of different ways that you can pour. I'm going to do a circle pour, so I'm basically going to start from the middle and go in an outward ring, but you can also go side to side, or you can pour it in the middle of each coaster individually. A lot of different variations that you can do here, but I'm going to go ahead and go with like a swirly from the middle. So yeah, just start with your pour. Just kind of, you'll notice that a little bit drips over the edges, which is fine. And you might not get full coverage on the first one, but you can start seeing how cool. Yeah, I didn't get full coverage on that first one, so I'm kind of just going back over, and I'm already seeing some really cool cells here. So I'll take a break here from pouring so I can show you kind of what it looks like. So this is my first one, and I just poured on it, and you can take that paint and pick up the coaster if it doesn't cover it fully, and pick it up, and now you can start tilting the coaster side to side just to let that paint pour. And you can see now with all the different colors how cool those variations really turned out. So yeah, just pour that paint on your coasters and whatever kind of pattern looks good to you. I'm just gonna show you this one coaster that I've got it. I did a little bit of tilting back and forth, and this is kind of what it looks like. So yeah, just take a few minutes pouring the paint on your coasters and trying to get the coverage over your whole coaster, and I'll come back with the next step. So you're probably completely messy like I am over here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the next step, because I've spent a few minutes picking up my coasters and moving them side to side, and I've got pretty good coverage on all of them. But what you'll notice is that it's hard to get all the edges in the corners. So what you can do is you can just pick them up really gently like this, and just use your finger and just kind of dab from the paint, the excess paint that's on the table in front of you, and just kind of go through and make sure that all of your edges are covered. You might want to space out your coasters a little bit more so that you don't drip them, but yeah, just pick them up really gently. I have dropped a coaster or two like this on my lap before, which isn't a fun experience, which is another reason why I also recommend wearing clothes that you don't mind if they get ruined for this project, because that does have a tendency of happening. So yeah, but just take a few minutes, and like I said, just pick up the coasters very gently. Just make sure that you've got all your edges covered. That'll make for a nice look when they're all dry. And I will come back shortly with the next step. Alright, so hopefully you've been able to go through and get your coasters all covered. I'm just going to go through and give you a couple of variations. One thing that you can do if you get kind of done with this and then you love it and you don't want to stop messing around with it. So one thing that you can do is you can actually take a straw and you can spend a little bit of time blowing the paint just to get some different shapes, and you'll notice that when you do that, different cells pop up. So a lot of people do different things with this method, with just taking a straw and blowing. So that's one thing you can do, and then you can just do more tilting. I took my gloves off, so I'm not going to do that anymore, but the next step after this is just to let your coasters dry, and it does take between 24 and 48 hours to get them fully dry and hardened, and there are just a couple of quick steps after that. So I'm going to sign off for a little while and let these dry, and I'll come back tomorrow or the next day and we'll see how they turned out. Hello and welcome back to the last segment of this Grace Creative session. It's been a little over 48 hours and my coasters are completely dry and they're looking pretty good, so I'll just show you here. I like how much they change when they dry. They kind of spread out a little bit more and they look a little different, so I am very happy with my results. But I'm just going to go over the last couple steps here. Obviously remove your coasters from the little stands that they were on, and grab your coaster backings here, and one by one you're just going to attach the backings. Just peel off that sticker portion and stick it on the back like so. Press it down and just go through all 4 coasters and attach the backings. And then when you're done with that, you're just going to grab the twine that's in your kit and you're going to wrap your coasters up. And obviously when you use them you'll take this off, but if you wanted to gift these to anyone or just store them decoratively, this is a nice little finishing touch. And I was also going to mention, I didn't put any of this in your kit, but if you can find any around the house or even go get some yourself, you might want to seal your coasters with polyurethane, some sort of like paint sealant spray. That will just make them last a little bit longer. So I typically do that, but I couldn't put a whole can in each kit or store it or ship it safely. So wasn't able to do that, but if you have anyone in your family that is like into construction or like has a tool set, you might ask them if they have any polyurethane. So yeah, but that pretty much completes our project. So that's what mine looks like, and now you have an acrylic poured coaster set. So hope that you enjoyed doing the session with us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.